Hey y'all, it is fall and it's the most wonderful time of the year for gardeners here in Texas. I'm in Central Texas and in the South. And that's because fall is one of the best times to plant perennials and shrubs and trees and to allow them to get established. Even though we're still having like 90-degree days, the days are shorter and the nights are cooler, so it gives your roots a chance to get established without everything getting fried in the sun, like if you're planting in, June or July here. So I am getting a very late start. Unfortunately, I had COVID the first like 2 weeks of September, but I am determined to get this thing set up and planted. So come spring, I'm gonna have a beautiful pollinator garden at the edge of my patio. So come along with me. We're gonna go through, in this video, we're going through the prep and setup of the bed. I've got lots of tips to share, so let's get going. So I set up my new bed just a couple of days ago, and I use the cardboard sheet mulch method, which you've probably heard of before. This is going to be the fourth bed that I've done using that technique. So this whole process took me about an hour, and I want to show you, just kind of walk you through the process, show you the things that I did, some of the products that I used, and then I want to share 3 specific tips. One of them is if you're getting a late start like I am, unfortunately, because I was sick, if you're getting a late start, how to help your cardboard decompose more quickly. And it's okay if you're planting in a couple of weeks and your cardboard's not completely decomposed, but you at least want to get it to the point where it's soft enough where you can get in, and then over the next couple of months in the rest of fall and into spring, it doesn't decompose over those months until we get into like kind of that March, April timeframe. The second tip I'm going to share is how to create a border completely for free. And I think you're really going to like this method, so that's a good one. And then the third tip is going to be around creating the shape of your garden and some of the considerations you should take into account when you're actually laying out the physical shape of it. So there's 3 good tips that you can look out for as you go through the video, and then at the end we'll see the final bed. And this is actually going to be the first in a 3-part series that I'm planning. So creating the bed. My second video, which I hope to have out next week, is going to be about designing the layout and choosing the plants that I'm going to be planting. And then my third video is going to be the install. So by the end of this series, I'm going to have a brand new bed, and hopefully you're going to have some good ideas and tips and maybe some inspiration to get your own bed going. So this is the area for my new bed. I'm actually extending a current border that is right off of my patio that was previously in full shade. And then we lost our shade trees after the 2021 freeze, so now we have full sun here. But I haven't really done anything with this area. You can see I do have some liriope planted, and there's a rock rose at the far end. But my goal is to extend the current 2-foot bed by about 6 or 7 feet and fill it with low-growing, flowering perennials that hopefully will attract a lot of hummingbirds and butterflies that I can enjoy watching from the breakfast table or when I'm sitting out on the patio drinking my coffee. I had some zinnias planted along my liriope this summer, and it was so cool to be able to see them close to the house like that. I've typically not had flowers in this area, so I got hooked pretty quickly. I'm starting off by laying out the shape of the bed using a hose. If you're doing a really large bed or your hose is inconvenient to use, the orange electrical cords that you use like for your outdoor tools and things, those work really well for this, and they typically come in really long lengths. My first tip that I want to share is to really think about maintenance when you're creating the shape. If you'll be mowing around the bed, be sure you don't have too many curves or tight corners or like 90-degree angles. You want to make sure your mower can get in there really easily. Once you have the design thought out, if you have grass or lots of weeds here, be sure to scalp the area with your weed whacker or your lawnmower. You can just leave the clippings in place because they'll break down and can actually help nourish the soil. Since we haven't watered here all summer, I get to skip this part and move on to edging. In other parts of my lawn, I have used traditional metal edging and I also have some stone borders. But in this area, I'm doing something called a V-trench. So right here, I am using a half crescent edger, and this is going to put just a vertical channel into the ground. Then I'm going to come in with my shovel and make a 45-degree cut from the other side. Once this is complete, I'll fill it in with mulch, and it's going to really block the weeds fairly efficiently. You will have to do some weed eating around the edge, just like you would with any other kind of border, but that's to be expected. The reason why I like the V-trench is, number one, it's free, so that's always a plus in my book, but also it's flush with the ground. And this area, it's right off my patio. This is where my dog, he tears out of the house looking for a squirrel or a bird or something, and I don't want him to trip on any kind of border that I have here. So once I get my channel cut, I'm going in with my hose and I'm putting water directly into that channel. It's going to soften up the ground. Going in vertically is pretty easy, but once we get that shovel in there, since the ground is so dry, it's just going to be really difficult to get that dirt out. So I'm all about making things easy for myself. So water it is. I can deal with a little bit of mud on my shoes. Here we go, making that trench, and you can see how easily it's coming up. All right, there we go. We got our V-trench dug, and start to finish, even laying it out and digging the trench, doing the watering in. This took me 30 minutes. So tomorrow we're gonna come back. You can tell it's starting to get a little dark. The cicadas are out. So we're gonna come back in tomorrow morning. We're gonna get our cardboard laid out and we'll finish up this project. Okay, y'all, it's about 6:30 on day 2, and I've only got about 30 minutes until kickoff. So I am gonna try to get my bed completed tonight with my cardboard and mulch. And one thing I'm gonna do first, typically when I've done these in the past, I've had a couple of months, 6 weeks or so, before I'm gonna be planting. This year, because I wanna start planting the first or second week of October, and I'm getting a really late start, I want to make sure that my cardboard starts breaking down more quickly. And one of the things you can do is to make sure you have enough nitrogen in your soil, because the nitrogen is going to give the microbes what they need to break down that carbon-based cardboard. So that's kind of my tip. In my other beds, I've just put cardboard down, put mulch on top, and I've been fine because we've had time for the cardboard to break down naturally. But this time I want to give it a little boost with that little bit of extra nitrogen. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sprinkle just a little bit of compost on the top of my bed. And if you have more like grass clippings than I do, this area hasn't been watered all summer long, so I did have grass here, but it has mostly died, so there's not a lot of obviously live vegetation there, so I'm not going to get that natural nitrogen. So I do want to add that compost, and this is something you could do whether you have grass or not. It's just a good idea. So we're going to sprinkle that out, we're going to get our cardboard down, and then we're going to put our mulch on top. So let's go. All right, and that's all we're doing for the compost. Since we're not actually planting anything right now, I'm really just trying to get a little bit of that extra nitrogen again to help break down the cardboard. And then when I start planting in about 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be adding some additional compost to the individual planting holes. And now the fun part. I've got my pile of cardboard. Probably have more than I need. Hopefully I have at least enough. And this is just clean cardboard that I've gotten most of it from Sam's Club and Costco. It's free of tape and stickers and staples. And you just want to make sure that when you're laying out your cardboard, you're going all the way to the edge and you're overlapping each piece by probably 4 to 8 inches, just to make sure there are no gaps. Okay, there we go. It's not the prettiest thing in the world. That's okay, it doesn't have to be. You can see I've got my cardboard up to the edge. And this bed that I originally started with doesn't really need to be have the cardboard put on it because it's already prepped. And then I do have a hole over here. I had a stepping stone that I'm going to put back, so I just left that open. So now it's time for mulch. And before I mulch, I'm actually going to wet all of this down just to help it lay a little bit more evenly and to make sure the mulch has good contact with it. Okay, I've been working for exactly 30 minutes. I've got 7 bags of mulch out and I probably have 4 or 5 left to put out, but it's kickoff and I need to get a shower. So we're gonna finish this up tomorrow. Probably take us 10 minutes. Guys, here we are. This is our final bed. Finally got that mulch in, got up early and went to the store for another 5 bags of mulch. Got those out in no time flat. So this entire bed, obviously minus gathering my supplies, took me like an hour, and it is about 8 feet deep and probably, I don't know, 16 feet wide, 20 feet wide almost. So it's not like it's a, it's not like it's a small little bed. So doing it in an hour, I think, is pretty good time. Stay with me though over the next couple of weeks. Go ahead and like and subscribe. And my next video is going to be about the design process and choosing all of the plants that I'm going to be putting in, and then we're going to do a video where we're going to do our install. So see you back here.